Well, today is Halloween, and we all know that this time of year can be a little spooky.
There are a ton of locations, hotspots in Wisconsin for the paranormal, and one that takes the trophy is Brumder Mansion in Milwaukee. The 8,000 square foot bed and breakfast has a lot of history. It was built back in 1910 by George Brumder Senior for his son on a street that was filled with Victorian mansions. This is one of 7 mansions the tycoon built for his 7 kids, and the only mansion that he built that's still standing. Brumder earned his money through the newspaper business and was chummy with the likes of Pabst and Miller.
After he became the 3rd richest man in Milwaukee in the time period of Captain Pabst and Mr. Miller, who were 1st and 2nd, he diversified and he owned some banks. And then he also owned the Boston Red Sox in 1902 and 1903.
Brumder's son sold the mansion 10 years later to Sam Pick, a man with ties to Al Capone. He turned the place into a speakeasy. He had several more owners before Tom and Julie Carr bought the place 10 years ago. Andy and I spent the night at Brumder Mansion to take a look at its history and to see if it's really haunted.
Coming up in the 6 o'clock hour this morning, we'll show you the tour that we went on, our ghost hunting experience, and of course the shocking evidence that we found showing that this historic mansion is haunted.
Welcome back, 6:08 the time. There are several so-called haunted locations in southeastern Wisconsin. One of those being Brumder Mansion, right here in Milwaukee. To get into the Halloween spirit, Andy Brovelli and I wanted to find out for ourselves if the mansion really is haunted. The owners let us stay overnight and investigate the mysteries behind these walls.
Welcome to Brumder Mansion.
As you navigate the menagerie that is Brumder Mansion, it's hard not to feel the building's rich and infamous history. With such a storied past, it's no surprise that Brumder Mansion has a history of the paranormal. According to its current owners, Tom and Julie Carr, many of the rooms within these walls have had their share of odd occurrences over the years.
Is there some lady in a Victorian dress that keeps walking down and up? Some guests or will be here. They'll hear organ music.
Tom's wife, Julie, has also had her fair share of experiences at the mansion as well.
I had hung up my belt in the George closet, you know. And
So my room, the room I...
your room, yeah. So I went in there to get my belt, and it was gone. And I couldn't figure out where to go. Where's my missing belt? And then a couple hours later, I came back, and there it was. And sometimes spirits visit here, and they don't want you in here. It gets really cold in here.
If those experiences weren't enough to give you the chills, just wait until you get a look at the rooms Chris and I stayed in. What rooms did you pick for Chris and I to stay in?
The George Suite and the Marion Suite. They're currently 2 of the most active.
Right now we're in the Marion's room?
Yes, the Marion Suite.
Okay, and this is Chris's room.
And the second that I stepped into this room, almost an uneasy feeling.
This came, nobody was standing over here. This came flying out, and that trash can was here, knocked over the trash can.
The 2-bedroom George's suite on the 2nd level was chosen for me. It too has had its share of paranormal activity.
Lots of guests have told us about shadows in between this hallway and the 2 rooms and the bathroom.
We finally made our way down to the basement where the current theater is now located.
Well, I saw my first full apparition down in the basement. This 6-foot, has a hat on, fedora.
We had a shadow move across the wall for the Edgar Allan Poe show, and then we had a voice come from over behind the bar, clear as day.
With our crash course of the supernatural, as well as the mansion now complete, we invited PIM, Paranormal Investigators of Milwaukee, to see if we could capture on camera, as well as voice recorders, signs of the paranormal. We switched over to the team's night vision cameras and started our investigation. We headed up to the Marion Suite, and then the George's Suite. Eventually, we ended our investigation in the mansion's basement. Chris and I both tested spots where previous groups had paranormal experiences.
Did someone get shocked on the chair that Andy's sitting on right now?
Do you feel static in here? I feel that constantly, like right on top of my head.
It felt like things were picking up for us when we heard 2 thumps.
Was that you that made those 2 thumps? A taste of what happened when we visited the Brumder Mansion. Coming up in the next half hour, see the evidence, the shocking evidence that we uncovered.
Looking forward to that, Chris. Who made those thumps?
I know, that's what I've been waiting for a week.
I'm going to find out. All right.
Find out about the thumps.
We were all just kind of chatting, and over top of everything, we heard, you just heard this little girl giggle, like a little girly giggle, and everybody was like, what was that?
Last night was just amazing, sitting over here on the stage and looking into this door, and just, we were talking, and we just look, and there's just someone standing there. Just like he's kind of checking us out, seeing what we're doing, and then just slowly takes a turn to the left and heads on to what he ever had to do.
With all the frightening ghost stories from Brumder Mansion, along with previous evidence, Chris and I had to see for ourselves if this place was really haunted. Have a look.
Now the investigation is over, we turn our attention to the evidence.
Yeah, you said it, Chris. We did capture some rather odd things while staying at Brumder Mansion.
Let's take a look. The first thing I experienced was when we were taking the tour around the mansion. We stopped at Marion's Suite, the room I stayed in. I felt as if something was brushing the side of my head. You could see the reaction in this clip. We come with no harm.
What the hell?
See, okay, here's the thing. It's like when somebody says their head itches or something, or we do a
No,
story
it felt like
on
somebody
fleas,
did
it's
this.
just like...
Swear to God.
Chris had another experience down in the basement during the investigation. He felt static electricity on top of his head. You know, the feeling you get when a balloon rubs against your head. Pim thought it may have been the old wiring running above him.
I feel that constantly, like right on top of my head.
Huh. Are you spooked? Is that could
No,
be just an
I'm not
anxiety?
spooked at all.
We caught a number of videos with orbs, which are referred to as balls of energy or possible spirits. The most profound evidence we captured was in George's room, where Andy tried to provoke the entities in the room by placing his pelt in the closet on a hanger. You're playing with fire, Brovelli. Did you see that? Watch this again as the orb goes from right to left into the belt.
Looks like an orb, and I know that they've always said that orbs are ghosts, so.
That's what we took from it, and that's probably the biggest evidence that we saw. At least we didn't have any EVPs.
Sure.
We didn't have any ghosts or anything like that. Apparitions, yeah. But that, kind of provoking the ghost. What we tried to do is that you're playing with fire, Brovelli.
Politely provoking.
Politely,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. We weren't trying to be malicious or anything. And then Andy put the belt on the hanger, and then seeing that, it's just
Seeing it go right to it, and I was in the edit bay watching, and I was just shocked at everything I was seeing. I think it helps when you believe in that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I would never stay there. What was it like actually staying the night there?
The biggest thing to me, right when I walked in and stepped into the room that I was staying in, I almost felt like it was an uneasy feeling.
Yeah.
But then when we did the investigation, we went through and did it all, and I went back up to my room. Although I did leave the door open.
I would want it shut.
And a couple of lights on. It didn't feel uneasy at all. It actually felt almost welcoming. I don't know if that's just because I was so gosh darn tired from the whole investigation, or if there was some type of presence there that was saying, all right, Chris, you're just fine where you're at. Just go to bed now.
Calm down, right? And I have to call you out for a second because you had the TV on and the lights on.
Oh, yeah, it's no secret. So when I first went to my room to go to bed, it was about 3 a.m., right?
Yeah,
So we've about 9 hours of investigation. I shut the doors leading into the other room. Not that that's going to stop anything from walking through the doors. I turned a nightlight on, and I turned on a TV. So yeah, I admit it right now.
What was on the TV?
HGTV.
What was on before that, though?
Ghost Adventures was on, actually, when I turned the TV on.
You don't watch Final Destination on a plane.
Yeah. No. Yeah. So it's how much of it is like your head playing with you, but it was enough to where it kind of spooked me out just a little bit.
So the ultimate question now, do you believe it was haunted? Do you think it's haunted?
Judging from what we saw, I'm not a professional. I do
Just
believe
from
in
what
that
you
stuff.
saw, yeah.
I'd say so.
What do you think?
I think the same thing. I think all the ghost stories we heard, Tom and Julie Carr, who, by the way, have a fantastic bed and breakfast. They are top of the line,
Nice people,
very,
nice
very
people.
great place to stay. But just from their stories and doing all the research that we did, I think there's no doubt that it's haunted, but there are going to be there are people out there that are skeptical of it. So.
I think we have a couple in our newsroom.
Yeah,
I'm looking at
and
my
that's good.
Curkov
That's
in the
okay,
corner.
because it's playing both sides. And the team that we were with, Paranormal Investigators of Milwaukee, were awesome. They were kind of just showing us the ropes throughout.
And we want to thank them, too, for all of their help, too. And if you missed any part of this, if you want to see a replay, it is worth a replay. I will tell you that. Watch their entire story. It's on our website at cbs58.com. Thanks for staying the night there for us, guys. We wouldn't do it.
Yeah, thanks for staying for us.